Hello everyone, thank you for joining my art channel, Springing Art. I'm Becky, and I'm really happy that you're here to join me today. We are going to be making, this is the lid for a box. I don't know the exact measurements, but this is a 14 inch, so it's probably probably about 8 by 10 box, and this is just the lid of it. I plan to do a deconstructed bloom, obviously inspired by Karen of Waterfall Acrylics. The colors are also inspired by Karen. They're very similar to ones that were used in some of her most recent videos. We'll go over those as soon as I get there. And for the time being, I'm just going to spread this out. To be very honest, I have not primed this wood. I'm just thinking about that now. So I do have one more box, and I'll have to make sure that I prime that one. This paint is very thick as we're doing a deconstructed bloom, so we're using the Multi-Pro PPG, I believe, as a pillow today. But at any rate, this house paint is quite thick, so I don't stand as much of a risk of having my wood warp as I would if I was doing something like a Dutch port. So I'm going to just keep my fingers crossed and keep on going here. Now I have found I have not done very many of the deconstructed blooms, but the few that I have done, I have found that you do need a fair amount of pillow paint because you're really going to be moving the paint quite a bit. So you have to have enough pillow there to be able to move. Okay, so the colors that we're going to be using today are quinacridone, nobody can say that, you know, Nickel Azo Gold by Golden. This is a blend of TLP Ballet Slipper with Color Arts Cristo, wait a second, let me grab it. Hot Orchid. Sorry, it's a good thing I looked at it. So it's Color Arts Hot Orchid, which is one of their prism pours. This is a generic crimson. I believe it to be an alizarin crimson. Oh my, but it's quite hard to tell because if you've done blooms before, you know that they're very messy. And I have great respect for all those people that can do blooms and not get paint all over their bottles. Okay, and then we're going to do Deco Art 24 karat gold. And then just because I love it, we're going to do TLP glisten. And I'm going to use a black cell activator today. My cell activator, I didn't measure it. I would guess it's about 2.5 parts of Australian Floetrol to 1 part of paint. As for consistency, as with most blooms, it's quite thick. All right, guys, we're going to get started. Thanks again for being here. I'm starting with the quinacridone Nickel Azo Gold, or QNAG, because it works so beautifully with, we're going to do 2 blooms also. It works so beautifully with white to turn everything from bright oranges to deep oranges to bright yellows. It just is an amazing little mixer paint. We're going to put our pink mix on. Use a little bit more than that. I want a fair amount of paint here. I'm not too worried about my drips. I'd prefer not to have them, but I'm not too worried about them if I do. It kind of looks like bubblegum color. Then we've got the deep red, the alizarin crimson. My guess is that this is probably Premier or Joe's. Both of those are small. Well, Premier is I forget the name of the company, but it's out of business, bought out by Michaels now. And Joe's is a small, independent type of online art store. And I've really put these kind of close to the edge. I should have had them a little closer, but we'll have to blow them inward a good bit. Because otherwise, as we tilt, they're gonna disappear. All right. Let me get my blow dryer. I'm using my little baby Bliss, which is, I think it's Bliss. It's online. It's online. It's a travel blower, and I honestly can't remember whether this tip came with it or not. But this is the shape that I prefer, which is flat, parallel lines here, and then the rounded sides here. So I'm not sure whether this came with it or whether I just found this and added it to it. I've had it for a good while. All right, so let's see. We will start with this one. I'm going to see if I can, if I tilt it, I'm tilting the other one too. So we're blowing it, so I'm putting a fair amount. And I'm going to use low to start off with and cool. Okay, I have to be careful. I'm always getting my tip in the paint, so that's just one thing that you do need to be careful of. Let's see if we can tilt this down. Okay. Put our cell activator on and go again. Low fan, cool. All right. Let's see, I want to try and help this blue mat a little bit to center. When you're blowing those, blow gently, but blow hard enough to get some color up. I say blow gently because you don't want to blow so hard that you go all the way down to the pillow. I'm going to try something that I haven't tried before. It might not work very well, but I'm going to do a scoop. And I'm going to try and put it in this big white spot because this is going to end up staying a big white spot and I don't like that. This is a method that I have watched a million people do and I go, look, why are you doing that? You're just wasting perfectly beautiful cells. However, this is a really good use for the technique, at least for me, because maybe that'll help a little bit to reduce the amount of white in between the two blooms. Okay. All right, so I'm so used to spinning, it's going to be really challenging to if we have any other really big. I don't worry too much about the small dots. As I'm tilting, they'll go away, but sometimes you can't tell whether it's a big bubble or whether it's a goober. Okay, so go a little bit this way. Tilt it this way so you can see it. It is not all flowing evenly. Doesn't really have to flow evenly, but I'd like to do a little bit better. There's some really beautiful cells and lacing in here. And I love cells and lacing, so to be perfectly honest, deconstructed blooms are not my style. I will end up keeping far more of these cells and lacing than Karen would end up keeping. And now I don't at all like what I did with the pink now. I think it was a terrible idea now. Okay, first time that I've used this El Cheapo mat. We're not going to be using it anymore. Unless I can find a good way to keep it stuck to the mat. I'm hating the middle, and I knew that I was going to hate the middle. If I didn't have the pink there, it would just be all white, and that I would hate even worse than what I hate now. And I love the outside. I'm wondering if I can stretch it far enough. You can see what I mean by the Nicolazo gold. See how we've got very light colors, you've got almost gold colors, you've got orange colors. It's really amazing how it blends into so many different colors. Okay guys, as much as I'm loving parts of this, I just can't do the middle, so this is okay. And again, we want to have a fair amount of pillow paint down here. so that we'll have lots of room to move our blooms around. And we want the majority of it right here in the center. Maybe this will help me keep my blooms a little bit closer to the center this time. Okay, start again. We're going to do 2 blooms. Quinacridone nickel azo gold on the bottom so that we can get all those wonderful effects of the Cunag mixing with the white. Our pink, which is a mixture of Ballet Slipper by this little piggy and Hot Orchid, a Prism Pour by Color Art. The resulting color is pretty much like a fluorescent bubble gum. This is some brand of, I believe, alizarin crimson, a deep red, some Deco Art 24 karat gold, and a little bit of Glisten by Color Art. All right, grab the blow dryer, and we're using our little baby Bliss, which is a travel blow dryer. This is the opening that we have with the parallel lines in the round. Blue, not quite sure why that black is looking so blue. Something to do with mixing with the yellow, which usually makes poop green, but it looks okay today. It's a nice blue. All right, so let's see what happens when we start tilting. If I can get it up off of the mat. There we go. Sorry guys, just let me get the paint down here to a spot where I want to try and get some of this black off of here. Okay. See a little goober. Saw a little goober. Now I've lost him. Oh dear, 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 dear. That's my biggest problem, guys. Drips. And you would think I'd know by now. It's a lot of a drip. Okay, slightly repaired. Let me get some water, guys, so that I don't clog this all up. I don't have very many of these, so I don't want to ruin it. So let's stay there. Okay. Get back to business again. See what I like and what I don't like. Sit it down. I don't like that there's almost no veining in here, but I love, love, love the gradual mixing variation in here the kind of watercolor effect. I don't love this black stripe going through here, but I don't mind it a whole bunch either. I think that I will try to get some of it off here. I think that's going to actually add to making it look a little bit more deconstructed. Now we just have to find out where the weight of our paint is, and there's not very much paint left. This is why I said you really need to have a good pillow on there, because you do run a lot off with this method. And I don't think we've got enough to move anything at this point. So I don't have to worry too much about it cracking or anything. One thing that I love about fluid art painting is that you go in with an idea, but really paint rules. And I know there's a lot of artists that don't like to paint the rule. They like themselves to rule. However, I think the paint rules, and that's why we're doing this. And my paint is saying we've had enough right now. You're not going to get anything else out of us. I do need to try and work on my sides. So the paint says I'm done. I guess I'm done. I don't argue with the paint. The nice thing about that too is that I'm not wrong, because the paint's always right. So I don't ever have to feel like I've done a terrible job, because I didn't do it. The paint did it. The way I've got this taped, there's not going to really even be anything on the sides. I'm going to stain the sides. So now that I'm thinking about it, I really don't have to worry about it. I do have some right here I need to touch up, because it's going to come down about, probably a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch, like right into this area somewhere. But we don't have to worry about these areas right here. Okay, guys, I'm going to clean up my hands, and I will bring you in for a close-up.